It's a great day in SimWorld, everybody. Good morning and welcome to SimWorld Today. I am once again not Marsh. I'm Ron, and joining me this morning is the SimWorld prep expert himself. You love him, you know him, Maestro. Good to have you here, man. Good morning. Happy Friday.
I appreciate you. Always I appreciate you, B. Ron, checking in on me when you gave me that wellness check a few nights ago when I was just hanging out in the studio booth. But I just want to say, I just want to say something to our fans here today, if I can. For less than 19 cents a day, you can help a Rick Blaze. You know, give him the nourishment and the love that he needs, that he knows that he can see tomorrow, knowing that we're all bringing him close to. I'm sorry, I can't get away with it. I thought I could do it. I cracking a smile, but
Oh
my
man, I
man.
love
No,
it.
yeah, I'm sorry, I had to bust on my man. I love you, bro. Love you, bro. All right. Let's go.
Yeah, let's jump right into it, man. Look, the SimWorld prep season's finally over. We've crowned our Last Dance champion. Bay Area Breakers ended up winning the whole thing a few weeks ago, and now it's time to turn the attention to the off season in SimWorld prep. And we know with that comes a lot of change, and a lot of changes are coming in the coaching department too. We've seen a lot of new coaches either join teams or move teams going coming into the new season. We've seen Coach Redbud for Lone Star Basketball Club. We've seen Brody Knight take over the Bay Area Breakers. We have seen Sean Harper take over Southeast Select. There's so many coaches moving around Simbo Prep and joining. Uh, do any one of these coaches have your eye in terms of who's gonna be maybe not in the best spot, but maybe who could surprise you the most was what they do in the off season, how they get ready, that kind of thing.
Wow, that's a real good thing because a real great question. And before I answer, I'm gonna ask you real quick there, B.
Yeah,
Ron.
sure.
Do do you remember this much shakeup in SimWorld prep coaching since SimWorld has started? I honestly don't.
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
I'm just
no.
misremembering.
No, I
But
don't remember there being this
okay,
much moving and shaking in terms of coaches moving around, new coaches
okay.
been joining, that kind of thing. And I think
Mhm.
I think that goes to show a few things. One, real quick, is just how much more exposure SimWorld Prep has gotten over the last
Right,
few seasons, coming
right.
into now as they prepare for season 4 of SimWorld Prep. So it's very exciting.
I got you. Yeah, I'm with that 100%. So, just to put it out there and just to put it in, perspective. What like it's something I talked about in my talking dirty this week, and I've thought about it a little bit more and sort of, something is kind of carried over. But I'll tell you something, man. I can't be wrong. I really dug my heels in, and I'm gonna tell you why. I really look at a coach like Brody Knight being the best known to a known, right? He's already from inside the system. He knows what to expect. He knows the
Mhm.
players. He knows routine. He knows the culture. And Bay Area has always been a strong team. And he's basically building on what Coach Dre Pope is. And I know we're going to talk about him later, but he's really, he can really set his mantle atop Coach Pope's, right? So, but I'm really curious to see because in a lot of ways, I think it's unfair for what he's going to go through because I think there's an expectation of success that he's going to have to deal with that maybe if he was coming from outside the organization, that he would not necessarily have to deal with. So that's my one thought about him. On the other side, the coach, I'm just going to be direct about it. The coach that I truly feel that has the most to show being unknown to unknown to unknown, and that is Kendall Jorner with Queen City Kings.
Okay.
I like them. I've always liked the Queen City Kings, but we're talking about unknown quantity in Jorner coming to a situation where, and let's face it, have we ever settled on an identity for the Queen City Kings? They were so schizophrenic, and I don't mean that as an insult, obviously, but they were so schizophrenic in their success that matched how they approached the game. Like there were times when we call games and they would be so heavy transition later, and it would be amazing. Then we call another game and they're straight half court and they'd struggle, and then they come back to the transition games and they'd struggle. It was just like sometimes they were good at something, sometimes they weren't. Now, granted, we can give credit to their opponents and all that other stuff, B. Ron, but it seems though they could never settle on this is our good that we'll put against your good and know we're going to win every time. So I think from that perspective, that's going to be one team that I think is going to garner a lot of attention in terms of are they really going to finally settle on what they're going to be. And lastly, just to say it, Coach Lytle going to the Indy Stripes, right?
Yeah.
The idea of that team always had this level of expectation on it, because of who they had on the team, right? Who was wearing the jerseys. Now, what is that going to mean now with a coach with a proven system, one that we know that system is portable, it can play anywhere. What are they going to be able to do and how are they going to be able to pull themselves together this season? I think it's going to say, okay, ultimately it might say more about Coach Lytle more so than they'll say about the Indy Stripes. But I really think that that's a really good marriage in terms of what they're going to be able to put together. And I think it's going to help take both coach and team to a level of being talked about in different conversations.
Okay. I like that. I like that, honestly. So I'm gonna go a different direction here with this one. I'm not gonna go in the obvious talk about Southeast Select or Bay Area
Mhm.
Breakers. I'm for the unknown coach who I want to keep an eye on. I'm gonna take Coach Corbin Ford for Showtime. He's taking
Love
over
it.
for Coach Joyner. Coach Joyner, the one
Love it.
you mentioned, moving from Showtime now with Queen City. I want to see what Coach Corbin Ford's going to do over there because, again, I think that Showtime is an area. They're in California. There's a lot of talent in that California area. And when you're
Right.
competing for recruits with the reigning trades who are up there in Washington, with
Mm-hmm.
and not to mention the other California teams, Bay
Mm-hmm.
Area,
Mm-hmm.
Best Coast, there, and even in some respects, you could add the Scorchers in there too, in that
True
area.
that.
Um, I think that him going there, I think that he's one who I'm looking forward to seeing most because that is just again, it's an unknown area, it's an unknown quantity in Coach Ford, but he's got a lot of great talent in the area to try and get a hold of. So if he can build a system that works for his team in his first year, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, so that's my unknown one. For a known one who I want to see, I want to go to SimWorld Asia Pacific for this one.
Mm.
Coach Yasuhiro Okamura. I
Love it.
really like what he did with Latin America. He didn't have a lot of time with them though, but I think that he had some good things going late with them for
Mm-hmm.
at the end of their season, going into the last dance, that kind of thing. But I think that now that he's back coaching in Japan, in his home country, where he wanted to be all along, I think that that is only going to help him get more, be more invested in what he's doing. Because I think that when you go back to your home or go to a place that's close to your home, I think that that also does a lot for you as a person because then you can say, yeah, I'm here and I'm going to really put this spot on the map. Why? Because this is where I come from. I know this area the best. And I think that that does a lot for, again, the recruits in that area too. Because, again, we've seen talented players come out of the Asia region in the past in
Mm-hmm.
basketball. But, it's all about building it up. And I think that Okamura has a great chance to help build this team up. We've seen Asia Pacific in the past do some great things, especially in the race to one, run to one tournaments when when they surprised some teams and ended up going on decent runs. So I think there's something there for them. We'll see.
I love it. No, love it. Love where your head's at with that.
I appreciate that much. I appreciate that. Moving on, though, from new faces joining to faces leaving and potential faces leaving. We mentioned it earlier. Dre Pope, he's taking the next step, going to SimWorld U. No clue where he's going yet. That's still being decided for him. Going through interviews and things like that. We know that Coach Asad Drayton is going to Syracuse next season. We know that for sure. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know about other coaches like Braden Berry, of course, but there are other coaches, not the ones we've named, of course, who could be taking the next step to SimWorld U next season? Because again, the college season is still going on, and there's still plenty of teams who could be looking for coaches next season. I know Minnesota was still talking about it at one point. I know Houston's looking for a new coach with their coach retiring. Florida State looking for one because he'll be retiring at the end of the season as well. There's a lot of schools that could be looking at SimWorld Prep for coaches, Maestro. Um, who do you think could be moving up from SimWorld Prep to SimWorld U for the next season? Ones we haven't named already, and that we know for sure aren't doing it.
Well, okay. I'm just gonna get the obvious one out the way, and that is, Coach Dominguez. Coach Camino Dominguez has made it perfectly clear his thought process in terms of where he wants to be. Washington is his home. That's where he wants to go. That's what That's what he sees himself.
Coach Barry, you mean?
That's where. Yeah, I apologize. Thank you for streaming out that.
No,
Yeah, thank you, Coach Barry. Very much. Sorry about that, Coach. It is truly indeed that thought of he knows that's where he wants to go. He knows that's what he wants to do. He knows that's the voice he wants to be. And I know we said we were not going to talk about a coach that's been here already, but other than quite frankly being the first person that came to my mind in terms of that thought of who was going to make that move, he was definitely it. And again, to speak direct, there are some coaches we have here that have, I feel, a proven record, but I don't think they've accomplished what they want to accomplish here yet. And I'm going to say a name here, specifically Coach Heesh, right? Coach Heesh has been a solid coach. He has always seemed to be in that position of just a little bit above 500, I think, in his career. Please, Maestro, check me on this right here, because I believe he's on like a couple of games above 500. But I think his approach and his willingness to build a team, showing that he can be in it for the long run, I think he shows us something that I can see him getting looked at going to the next level. And then if I had to get another coach, and I know he just had his first season with the Originators following the great Coach Alicia Dodge, and that is Oscar Henderson. He proved himself, and I hear all the voices now. Oh, he came in, the team was strong, blah, blah, blah. All he had to do was sit there with the clipboard, and if you've ever been on the sideline, it's so much more than that. And if you can't understand that, please just stop talking. Stop talking. Just don't. I really see how he can be examined. And then I guess if I have to steal a third one, I'm sorry. I know I'm stepping all on your time here. I'm really curious as to Dries Williams' future. I think he's someone that would fit on not just SimWorld U, but also, SWBA in terms of his approach, the way he handles players. So he's another one that really intrigues me to think of what he might be able to do, not only at the next level, but the level above that.
That makes sense. I like Dries. I like that pick of Dries Williams. I like all the ones you mentioned, obviously, but I'm going to keep mine short here for this point. I've always been a big Brian Loveless guy. I really like what he brings to the table in terms of how he interacts with his team and the depths he goes to prepare for games and that kind of thing. I really like Brian Loveless in terms of what he could do. He's bounced around a bit. He went from he started out with the now I think I'm blanking on the team name right now, unfortunately, but he's been around since the Ground Zero. He's been around for a while now. So he's got his chops in pretty well here in SimWorld Prep. But he was with Lakeshore Drive, now with the Heartland Zombie Stars. For the past, this is now going to be going on to his third season, I believe, with the team coming up. And right. I think that he's one who I would have an eye on going up to the next level if he wants to do so. And obviously you mentioned him, Ganino Dominguez from Best Coast. I think that he's, if he wants to take a job into next season, he could do it. I obviously one more. I know I said a keep short. I'm sorry, I lied. Coach Kusa as well. Gotta mention him too. I spoke to him about moving to Minnesota at one point in time, so not a surprise there. We'll see what happens, obviously, with all of these things, but I really think that any one of these guys that we've mentioned could definitely take a spot on a SimWorld U team if it were to open up and if they decided they wanted to make the next step. Because as much as players are coming and going, and they want to move up from prep to pro, the coaches
Right.
want to do the same thing as well, I'd imagine. So they're gonna get their reps in at the prep level and go to pro, and they'll pave the way for the next one. That's what it's all about, right? So from prep to pro, get there, right? And you get there
And
by making the journey.
mhm. Yeah, and by the way, to give you credit, I will give you and the Blazer and even the Marster, I give you 3 credit on something. You really turned me around on the whole idea of the fluidity of what happens in those positions. And I'm sorry, I know we say we're gonna keep it what it is, and my show is just totally blowing up your show here. I gotta ask you, I'm gonna ask you directly from what
Yeah,
you've
sure,
seen
sure.
from your perch. What do you think of Coach Nicola Tomo with Bad Boys? I believe.
Tomo, he's one who I really haven't seen a lot of. I'm completely honest with you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how uh, how much he's been invested with the program so far over there since joining the team.
Right.
It's been a bit of time over there. It's been about a month, I'd say, since he joined.
Hmm.
Joined back on. I believe it was sometime in March with the team, and I don't know. I'm unsure about him, honestly.
Okay. And I'm and just to be transparent for you and for because I did blindside you with that. I have not spoken about him yet because I'm still trying to get a feel for. I want to be able to say something. I know what I think about the team. I'm always for the guys on
Yeah,
the team and
of
what
course,
they're going to bring back. Right.
of course, of course.
Having nothing and the end being the prep guy. Working with the prep team that for that. But I kind of because I'm me, I'm really good at looking at your actions first before I talk to you. I want to
Yeah,
see what you're doing before I talk to you, and before I kind of get a that sort of interaction with you to see where you are. So I was just curious, what was going on with that. So I appreciate you being honest about
of
that.
course. Yeah, no, I think that I'd like to hear more about what he's doing for that program, and unfortunately, haven't heard much. So with that, I can't say anything more about it.
Right.
But what we can say more about, though, Maestro, I feel like, is the Hoopsteria coming up. We're coming up to the end of the season
Hmm.
here in college basketball, and it's time to start talking about seeding, perhaps. The Run Hoops area is on its way. It's closing down here the last couple of weeks of the regular season. And we got top seeds. I'm sure topic of discussion is going to be a big one here. And I know we're getting close to time, producers in our ear. But real quick, we're looking at one seeds, man. Who do you think is going to be the one seeds in the upcoming hoops area? Just as a note, as a fun fact from last season comparing to this season, you really see how things have changed. Last season's one seeds were Tennessee, Kentucky, Miami, and UConn. Some of those teams aren't making one seeds this season. I would say
No.
personally, I'd say that one of those four is getting a one seed, and we know who that is. We know who that could be getting that one spot there. I'll let you guess.
So so I'm gonna speak directly, and you know me, I normally like to throw some oil in the pot, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I'm gonna say this in a way because I just want Marsh to know that I'm telling this everybody else, nobody else can hear this. Only Marsh hear what I'm about to say next in your face. Uh, he and I had an argument about the ACC versus the SEC early on during the SimWorld today, which was awesome. And the SEC is gonna smoke with 2 number 1 seeds, right? My opinion is going to be Kentucky, despite their bump in their road. I'm sorry, Blaze. I love you, but despite the bump in the road, I think UK is going to manage to pull out a 1 seed along with Alabama. I'm going to go with Villanova, and believe it or not, I'm going to say this, and this is so against my brand, but I'm going to say Texas will be that 4th number 1 seed, even though I have a thought in my head of who might sneak up in there and swipe it from a team like Texas or UK. But That's all I'm gonna say. That's what I got. What you got, bro?
Okay, I'm surprised you went Texas. I'm gonna Kansas instead. Kansas getting the 1 seed.
Mm,
Villanova gets a 1 seed. I think that uh, Virginia Tech also gets a 1 seed
mm,
because I think that they actually switching. Sorry, Duke gets the 1 seed because I
nah.
think that they beat Virginia Tech in that eventual ACC championship game and they get the 1 seed over them as a result of that. Um, and then you know what? For the sake of just fun, why not Memphis as a 1 seed?
Why not Memphis,
Why not
baby?
Memphis as a one
Come
seed?
on,
They're
come
10 and
on,
2. They're 21 and
come on,
9 right now, atop the American
come on.
Conference, right? You could take your SEC teams and your power 5 conference teams and say, "You know what? None of you get one besides
Yes,
one
sir.
that we mentioned. But let an American Conference team get a 1 seed for a change." So give me
I
Memphis
would.
as the final
I
1 seed.
was.
Why not, man?
I Ron, I'd so love that. And oh, by the way, once again, see, you know me too well because Memphis was my. In case you don't want to talk about them, that was going to be my team to say. You know what? If they got a 1 seed, I would definitely go out and burn a blue and white couch in their honor because that would just be awesome.
That would be awesome. I would love to see it, man. I kind of hope it does, honestly. I think that would be a great talking point for not only the program with Penny Hardaway as the head coach over there doing his thing.
Hmm.
Obviously, they've got a great girl LDO over there. KB Max really good too. But I think that bodes well for recruiting because again, recruiting is an
Yes.
ongoing thing. Just because the regular season ends doesn't mean that recruiting stops for these college teams. So
Right.
that's a topic we could talk about down the road, perhaps, with recruiting and who goes where, that kind of thing. Because there's still plenty of kids out there who haven't committed yet to schools. But that's for another day. We gotta go. Thank you for joining me, Maestro. I really appreciate you as always. Final word for the people.
You know what? Appreciate you guys so much. I always know that you got friend, you got family here. You need to reach out. You're going to reach out. Holla at your boy. You know we got your back, and can't wait to talk to everybody soon.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to all you guys soon. Thank you for tuning in to the end of the week on the Friday. It's my birthday. I'm going to go enjoy it. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate
I
you
got some
all. Have a
lotion.
good rest of the day. And
Popcorn.
remember, you guys, SimWorld is the only place where you can see the game, be the game. We'll see you back here on Monday.
Mm.